Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we are diving into one of Apple's biggest gambles in years, a MacBook that isn't really for the pros, but, well, for everyone else.
For years, that question has been floating around on so many wish lists. That sleek design, the super smooth software, it's always been something people wanted, but that high price tag, it's always been a huge barrier for a massive part of the market.
And this, naturally, created a massive opening for competitors. Chromebooks and budget Windows laptops have absolutely thrived in this space, serving students and users who just need the basics. For the longest time, it seemed like a space Apple was perfectly happy to ignore. Well, until now.
All right, so let's really dig into this. First, we need to understand the problem Apple was actually facing. I mean, just how big was this gap in their lineup really?
So, if you look at the laptop markets, there's this really clear, almost massive divide. On one side, you've got tons of affordable devices for everyday stuff. On the other side, you have Apple, where the price to even get in the door is nearly $1,000. That is a huge difference.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. What about the Mac Mini? And yeah, at $599, it's more affordable, but it's just not a laptop. It's not portable, and it's not an all-in-one deal. The bottom line was there was just no affordable, portable Mac. Period.
This massive hole in the market? It fueled years of speculation and rumors. And things started to get really specific in late 2025, painting a pretty clear picture of what this new device could actually be. And then the rumor mill just went into overdrive. First, you had that Bloomberg report pointing to a budget Mac in 2026. Then, the very respected analyst Ming-Chi Kuo drops this crucial detail. It's going to be powered by an iPhone chip. And it all came to a head literally the day before the announcement when a regulatory filing accidentally leaked the name, MacBook Neo. And then it happened. On March 4th, 2026, all that speculation just stopped. Because during its spring event, Apple officially pulled back the curtain on the MacBook Neo. And Apple led with the one thing, the single most shocking, most important detail, the price. Just $599. I mean, that was a direct shot at the heart of the budget and education markets, a price point nobody had ever seen for a brand new MacBook. So you're probably asking, how on earth did they hit that price? Well, the specs are actually surprisingly solid. A nice, sharp 13-inch display, a 1080p camera, great battery life, and it's super light at 2.7 pounds. But the real key? It's right there at the top of the list. That processor, the A18 Pro, lifted straight out of an iPhone. And get this, Apple didn't make anyone wait. It went on sale immediately. But look at those colors: blush, indigo, citrus, and silver. This tells you everything you need to know. This isn't the serious pro gray. It's fun, it's vibrant, and it is screaming we're aiming for a younger audience. And that $499 student price? Yeah, that pretty much seals the deal. Okay, so this brings us to the real secret sauce behind the Neo, the thing that makes its price and performance even possible. And it's a huge strategy shift for Apple Silicon. For the first time ever, Apple is putting a chip that was born in an iPhone inside a Mac. These A-series chips have gotten unbelievably powerful over the years, and Apple is basically making a bet that they're more than powerful enough for what most people actually do on a laptop. And this chart, it just shows you how right they might be. Look at this. The A18 Pro in the Neo, it actually outperforms the super respected M1 chip from the original Apple Silicon MacBook Air. And since we all know the M1 is still fantastic for day-to-day stuff, this is way more than enough power for who this laptop is for. But performance is only half the story. The other huge win from using an iPhone chip is efficiency. Remember, the A18 Pro was designed to live inside a tiny sealed phone with no fan, just sipping power. When you put that same chip in a bigger laptop body, you get incredible all-day battery life, up to 16 hours, and it does it all without making a sound. So let's step back. What does all this actually mean? By launching the MacBook Neo, Apple is making a massive strategic gamble. Is this the thing that finally takes down the Chromebook? And this really gets to the heart of the gamble for Apple. It's a real tightrope walk. A commenter on Mac Rumors put it perfectly. There are basically two ways this can go wrong. On one hand, if the Neo feels cheap or performs poorly, it could damage the entire Mac brand. That premium reputation is something they've spent decades building. But on the other hand, what if it's too good? If a $599 machine does everything most people need, why would they ever spend more on a MacBook Air?
But then that same person points out the flip side, the optimistic view. And it's a great point. Maybe this is a throwback to the iPod days. Remember that? The iPod wasn't just about selling one device, it was about getting millions of people hooked on the iTunes ecosystem. By focusing on market share instead of just high margins, Apple built this incredibly loyal user base that later became iPhone customers. The MacBook Neo could be exactly that for today's Apple. And honestly, that really seems to be the endgame here. The target isn't video editors or programmers. It's the millions of students, families, and everyday users who have always been priced out. See, the real price for Apple isn't just selling one $599 laptop, it's creating a brand new, super wide on-ramp to their entire world of high-margin services. iCloud, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and the App Store. Every single Neo they sell is a potential long-term recurring revenue customer. So that's the big question, isn't it? For so long, the Mac was for the few who could afford that premium price tag. With the MacBook Neo, Apple is betting it can finally be for, well, for the rest of us. We'll have to see if this huge gamble pays off, but man, it is without a doubt the most interesting strategic move Apple has made in a very long time.